This presentation is about analyzing your jurisdiction. Your advocacy fails without this. There are levels and structures in the target organization for your advocacy. This organization will have policies and regulations, and you will need to research past decisions. As an example, we will use the student whose project was to get recycling in 4 fast food outlets. He had 4 weeks to do so. He researched waste management versus recycling. He wrote a 1-page memo showing the savings. He prepared a hard copy. He tried to get an appointment with the owner. The owner refused. The student got his father, who golfed with the owner, to ask him. The owner refused the father, but told his manager to meet with the student. The student met with the manager of the 4 restaurants. The student brought a hard copy and an electronic copy of the memo to the meeting. The student left his memo and his flash drive with the manager. The manager decided to recycle. The manager hired a recycling company. The manager brought the savings of recycling to the attention of other managers at a regional meeting. We will now look at the levels and structures in the target organization. There are usually several levels and structures of decision-making in any target organization. Check to make sure you lobby the right level: organizational, municipal, regional, state, or provincial, national, or international. Check to make sure whether the jurisdiction is shared with another level or department. That's more common than is usually thought. And get to know the cycle of decision-making, its length, and whether there's a consultation. In the case of our student, the level of governance was organizational. The decision-making was delegated from owner to manager of the 4 restaurants. The decision-making was not shared. There was no known cycle in decision-making for the 4 restaurants, and the calendar for the periodic regional meetings was not known. Next, we will look at the policies and regulations on advocacy. All jurisdictions have these policies and regulations. They govern self-identification as an advocate, registration, gifts, hospitality, and transparency. Usually the information on these policies and regulations are readily available from the governing sources, and there may be implicit standards of conduct as well as explicit ones. In the case of our student, there are no policies or regulation regarding the advocacy for the 4 restaurants, but there were provincial policies and regulations regarding waste management in the jurisdiction. There was also an implicit standard of behavior that the student would not approach the owner again after being referred to the manager. And there was an implicit standard of behavior that the manager would try to make herself look good to her peers. We will now look at how to research past decisions. In researching past decisions, use the minutes of meetings, public records of debates, lists of past decisions, and any other source of information in order to answer the following questions. What types of arguments worked? What arguments worked with which decision maker? What decisions are in your area of advocacy? And at what stage of decision-making did outside influence succeed in the past? In the case of our student, there was no specific record to analyze, but there was an expectation that a business would respond well to cost savings analysis. Analyzing your jurisdiction is an essential part of your success as an advocate.